So, good afternoon to all. I have with me Mr. John Irudayaraj. He is the managing partner of GVJ Aircon Projects and Services. He's a very successful entrepreneur. I had asked him to kindly join and share his thoughts, which will be beneficial to anybody who's already an entrepreneur and also who's thinking of starting a new unit. So, I won't waste more time. I hand it over to Mr. John. So, John, thank you for joining. Tell us,
Thank
tell
you.
us and the audience something about yourself.
Yeah. Good morning, all. Actually, I have my complete name is Ramaswamy John Irudayaraj, and I'm basically a physics graduate. I have done my BSc Physics. Then I have completed my master degree in marketing management in Loyola College. So totally, I have approximately 20 plus years of experience, and especially in entrepreneurship, I have started from 2006. So after my graduation, I have taken specialization course in refrigeration and air conditioning related industry. I completed my refrigeration air conditioning course in Integral Coach Factory, where I was trained in both refrigeration and air conditioning related products, which is inclusive of welding, carpentry, fitting, all these technical ancillary subjects. So after completion of that course, I started my career as a technical assistant with a company called Srinivasa and Engineering Services. And then I worked as a supervisor. Then I worked as an instructor in datamatics in refrigeration air conditioning course. From there, I had an opportunity to go to abroad. I worked in Saudi for Zamil air conditioners as a project coordinator for 4 years. From there, in 1997, I resigned the job and joined with a company called Computer Point. In 1997, air conditioning industry in India was not that much familiar. So I have worked as a branch manager in Computer Point. From there, I joined with the Axel Group of Company. Worked there for 6 years. So 2006, I have resigned and started my own dealership with Blue Star Air Conditioners. So from that day onwards, from 2006 to as of today, I am doing this particular business. So if we look at in numbers, in air conditioning, we call it as ton of refrigeration, tonnage. So in that way, the latest organization, which is GVJ Aircon, we have completed 18,000 tons of air conditioning sales. So each ton equivalent to 130 square feet of area, each ton of air conditioner can pull it. So we have done 26 lakhs square feet of air conditioning system in and around Tamil Nadu. So 1,070 jobs we have completed as of now with 18,000 tons of air conditioning. This is about myself. Maybe in further questions, I can elaborate more about me.
Yeah, thank you, John. Nice to know that you have extensive experience both in India and in the Gulf market, and that has perhaps helped you to get into the air conditioning industry. Also, your numbers are very, very impressive. It reflects great depth and also, you've contributed jobs, you've contributed turnover, square feet, customers, uh, projects, industries, contacts, all that. So that's lovely. Okay. So how has your business evolved over the years? For example, you started in 2006. It's about 15 years now. What have you broadly
Correct.
seen in the last 15 years? You're not audible, John.
the mic.
Yeah, now you're audible. That's brief portion you are
Okay.
not audible. Yeah, go ahead if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Repeat.
Yes. I follow a system called SpanCo for my sales activity, which starts from suspect stage, prospect stage, approaching stage, negotiating stage, ordering stage. Uh, so SpanCo is what I can say has completely changed the dimension of my life. Uh, when we start in 2006, I was a partner with someone. That time, I can say the industry was at the peak. The expansions was very good, etc. So I am basically very strong. I can say that I am very good in concept sales. That is, any new product if Blue Star launches, they will give us the training. So I always try to go and experiment that product. So I'm very strong in doing the technical presentation to the customers. Second, since I started as an air conditioning technician in my career, my selection of AC equipments will be always based on the service point of view. So I'm very strong in the selection of AC equipments. So what I did is, initially I have taken the complete database of interior decorators, interior designers, and architects, builders, and consultants. So these database who are all in Chennai. So I used to go and meet them. Before lunch, I meet 2 people, and after lunch, I meet 2 people. So minimum 4 people I meet, give them the presentation, explain to them what are the types of air conditioners, what are the applications available, what is the definition of ton of refrigeration, what do you mean by CFM, all these technical things we used to educate the interior decorators and designers and architects and builders, because they should know an air conditioner is nothing but a heat transferring equipment. It takes the heat from the low temperature application and reject the heat into high temperature area. So generally the law of God is the heat can be transferred from high to low. But if you want to transfer it from low to high, you need an external equipment called compressor. So I go and give them a lot of technical stuff to them and explain to them how we should construct a house, how we should construct a factory in such a way that the heat load will be less. So your ton of refrigeration or your heat load is directly proportional to your electricity. And today, if you look at air conditioners consumes 80% of your electricity bill is from air conditioners. So if you select a wrong AC equipment, you'll be paying lifelong, huge electricity bill. So all those calculations I used to go and educate them. This is the first strategy. So once I do the education, then as per the prospect definition, money, authority, and need. So I will filter the customer based on this. So I will be selecting the customer, even though if I get n number of inquiries, but I am very clear about the selection of customers. And my selection of customers is always based on payment terms. So if someone asks me who is your customer, I will tell them anybody who is ready to pay 100% advance for AC equipment and 50% advance for ancillary work are my customer. So there I recover my complete cost. So if you look at 1070 jobs, what we have done, as of today, God's grace, not even one single job we have executed without collecting 100% advance for AC equipment. So this is the formula I used. So naturally, based on my presentation, very few dealers have the capability to go and meet them and give this, free education. So they send us the inquiry. So normally the inquiries will be in 3 ways. One, they will give you a site address. You have to go and take the physical measurement. From the measurement, you have to do the heat load. From the heat load, you have to convert into tonnage requirement. From the tonnage requirement, you should do the design. From the design, you should take the BOQ. So my pre-sales activity, I invest a lot of time. So that negotiation time and all, it will be very precisely. I know what is my cost. And so one way we go to the site, take the measurement, do the calculation and submit the quotation. Second method, they will send a drawing So if we will do, if we have the drawing, and with that drawing we can able to create the quotation. Third, they will send us directly the BOQ, bill of quantities, that is bill of materials. So that also we will fill it up and give it. Then after that they will do the comparison and negotiation and finalizing the order. My strike rate, if you look at from the inquiry stage to ordering stage, it will be still today we are maintaining 80%. This is how we do the strategy. So we approach systematically the market. We approach on daily basis so many people, and from there today if we look at I don't need to go to the market. I'm getting from that my 1070 jobs. I'm getting references. Actually, if I transfer the 1070 jobs into number of customers, it is 403 customers are there. So from 403 customers, we get minimum one inquiry every day. And more than that, if we look at air conditioning industry, it is completely service-oriented industry. So after few years, I have realized that my service technicians are the backbone of the company. So what I did is I created a sister concern called CJ Institute of HVAC Engineering. So I started to train people in HVAC engineering projects and services. So as of now, I have trained 1,500 engineers who are underprivileged. Initially, I started training with fees. Then I made it as a free training. Now I'm giving stipend of 8,000 rupees per month to the engineering students who have got arrears, who are a son of a farmer or a coolie, and who are from a village background, who have less English communication knowledge, and who is the breadwinner of the family. If anyone who walks into my company with these 5 qualities, we recruit them. We give them the training, and we have a syllabus for service and project separately. Service, we have 183 subjects, and project, we have 62 subjects. And everything is practical. There is no theory session at all. So straight away, they go to the field and they learn the subject. And we monitor their progress every month. We have a marking system. And based on that, after 3 months, if they are good, we recruit them. And I can say, God's grace, we are the only dealer who follow monthly incremental system. Up to 20,000 rupees salary, we give increment every month based on their knowledge and performance, attendance, etc. So we have certain HR parameters. So this is how we are different, and this is how we have grown up to this level.
Excellent. So from whatever you've said so far, you've done education, you've looked at service, you've looked at attrition rates, you've looked at development of manpower, you've looked at how to stabilize your revenue, because if service is very, very strong and repeat customers is very strong, then the revenue will be there. Then you've looked at goodwill, which is you're generating inquiries from your existing customers. You say 403 customers and around 1,000 projects. That's about 2 times. Perhaps each customer has come back to you at least once. The real numbers might be different, but I'm saying you have that level of trust and goodwill. So that's nice to know that your foundation is trust, goodwill, and plus based on what you're observing as key challenges, not only for you, but also for the rest of your industry. You're willing to train, look at a segment where you can create jobs. In our country, getting a job is so difficult, and you are willing to create that specific defined job which will help you, your dealers, and also the candidates who are coming. Yeah, thank you. So now that you've given us a very detailed reply on how your business has evolved over the years, why don't you share how to handle the finances? What would be your advice about income and expenditure? How should a person who's getting into business or an existing person handle the question of finances for that business?
Yes, sir. Sure. See, I'm talking about my organization or any engineering engineering work based organization. First of all, we are not traders. So we are engineers. So we don't invest money and rotate the money, give credit and do business. So being an engineering organization, our investment is our experience and our time and our brain. So we make sure that we collect 100% advance for the AC equipments and 50% advance for ancillary work and 40% against delivery of material. So if we don't get, say after my advance payment, I deliver all the material, submit the invoice. If I don't get the payment, I stop the work. I don't continue the work. So what we do is, from the day one, I run this organization as a debt-free organization.
Okay.
So I follow a five finger formula for finance. Number one, whatever whatever payment we receive, first thing we pay to the government, we pay the tax on time. If possible, we will pay it on advance tax also. So first is government, and second is we pay to the labor, the people who are doing the labor contract. We pay to them. Number three, we pay to the employees.
Okay.
And number four, we pay to the vendors. Vendors means those who supply the materials.
Okay.
Once we complete all these bills and payment, if there is anything remaining, money is there, then only we will take it our salary. I mean the partner salary.
Yeah.
So we make sure that 24 hours time we clear the bill. So there is no pressure of debt or whatever from the this thing. But there will be receivables. There will be receivables, but that receivables, if you look at the overall turnover of that year, it may not be more than 8%. So my whatever is my profit will be pending in the market. If it comes, I take it. If it doesn't come, doesn't matter. But my firm will run. So my advice to the young entrepreneur is try to, before you start any business, you try to first of all sit and plan your finance properly. That is your, what is going to be your total expenditure, how much money you need, etc., etc. So for that, I can give a small, a practical suggestion. Who can start business because I am taking some classes also regarding for the entrepreneurs. Excellent. If they come to me, if they ask me, sir, I want to resign my job and start a business, I will ask them one thing. Do you have savings or some income which will take care of your day-to-day expenses, like your provision, your milk, your medicine, your school fees, your rent, your electricity, etc., etc. Say if your outflow is 30,000, your basics. So you should have a savings of some money, either a rental income or FD, something you should have. So that money should take care of your monthly income expenses. So never start any business if you are not ready for that. In other words, don't try to take money from your business turnover and use it for your family expenses. If you do that, it will spoil your family as well as the business. So I started my business in 2006 when I had a rental income from my 2 property and I have savings, etc. So that is the time I decided, okay, my family will run, whether I earn or not, whether I make profit or not, my family will run. Number two, similar way, if I need money for business, I never bring money from my family into business. So business money is for business, family savings is for family. I don't mix these two. So as a result, as of today, my family, they have, their expenses are taken care and my business. So at the end of the year, what I do, I calculate all my profit, make sure that I have so much of money, then I invest that money in either in stock or jewels or buying a property, etc. So my request to the young entrepreneurs are, they have idea and they have potential, they have contacts, they know their father is in business, etc., etc. They jump into business and start. Then they started to feel that they are not able to feed their family. So you will be ready to start a business provided if your savings are, you know, fair enough to start your take care of your family expenses.
So the
So
importance
the
of
finance
cushion,
I manage in this way. Yes, sir.
the
Please.
importance of cushion before you get into a business is very, very important. So sit, calculate what is required at the minimum so that even if something happens in your business, it doesn't affect your family. Right. So now you were talking about going out, meeting the customer, educating them, making phone calls and so on. How are you managing in the Corona time? Are you doing telephone calls or are you still going and meeting them, or how do you manage that? Is there any special advice you want to give to people when you have to go out and meet people?
Is it audible? Is it
Yeah,
audible?
now it's audible. Did you hear
Yeah.
me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah.
So actually, 2006, I have started my business, as I told you. So we have completed around 800 and odd jobs before Corona. And the beauty of our business is we have something called service business. That is, whatever air conditioner we have installed in the market, minimum 4 services we should do per year. And without service, these machines will never work. If you don't clean the filter for 3 months, automatically the system will trip off. So the service business is an automatic revenue for you. So when we start in 2006, we have started, and this Corona things have happened in 2019. So by the time we are established, to be very frank, my service business income is more than enough to take care of my overheads.
Okay.
And my savings income is more than enough to take care of my family. So some month we are literally zero in projects, in sales, but still we are managing. We are managed, and Corona actually does not affected us much. Yes, of course, whatever I am supposed to earn, I have not earned. But it is something people may feel crazy if I tell them that I know that Corona will happen. For not Corona, an economy slowdown will happen 2 years before the economy slowdown. So I have prepared. I have closed all my EMIs. I have closed all my car loans. I have not invested anything on property or jewels or anything. So I kept everything intact. So when the Corona strike, actually we have not suffered. We really enjoyed that as a holiday. We spent lot of time with family. So even now it has not picked up. To be very frank, we are not doing 50% of the business what we used to do before Corona. And in service, we are doing only 70% of the business what we used to do before Corona. But we measure our overheads and we know what is, where it is going, what is happening, etc. So we are safe. There is no debt, there is no commitment, and there is no this thing. So if today I can say our profitability has gone up. Yeah, see why? Because of this Corona, most of the people who are not financially strong have vanished. So now the customer is ready to pay.
Yeah, John, I think it's stuck. I'm not able, Yeah. I think the last thing, if you can repeat. Yeah, I think there was a lull. Can you hear me?
Yes, there are some signal issue. Correct. I can
Yeah,
hear you.
if you don't mind, can you kindly just repeat the last 2-3 sentences?
Yes, yes. Actually, after Corona, our service income profitability has gone up
Mm,
because the people who are not financially strong have vanished from the market. So now we are making more money in service business, but project is we don't we are not doing the way we used to do. So if I compare between market potential and our numbers, we are strong, we are healthy.
mm.
If I compare based on before Corona status and now we are negative. Actually, it is not negative as far as I am concerned.
Okay. Yeah, so you have given more foundation for your business, I think, by concentrating on liquidity. Since you foresaw a slowdown, you said, okay, let me ensure that I have enough reserves, which will help me in the slowdown stage. Am I correct? I think that's what.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
That's also a lovely input, which somebody who's in business or thinking of starting a business can focus on. Okay, so what are the other challenges other than Corona? We are now, I think, another 5 minutes away from stopping the interview. So, if you can quickly tell me, what are your other challenges that you may have other than Corona now in the business?
The other challenges is identifying the customer who will pay you is the biggest challenge now. See, outwards, they may XYZ organization, you can say they have 10,000 crore or 15,000 crore, etc. They have huge building, etc. But we should be we have to be very careful. And people are, I can say people are well trained not to pay the vendors. Nowadays, they are all trained and they are paid, to hold the payment. So you have to be, if you are careful about your payment terms, and if you have training as one of the part of your organization methodology, and if your family is not depending upon your business income for day-to-day activities, you will survive in any situation.
That's also a wonderful input. Yeah, so I'll stop with the last question. Anything else that you'd like to share, John? Anything that you believe would benefit to be I have not covered? If you can share, it will be a good thing.
I would like to again I insist on don't please remember your fundamentals and never give up your fundamentals, like your SPANCO, and number 2, 5 priorities of payment, and number 3, consistent training. These 3, if we follow, whether we whatever condition, we can definitely survey. So SPANCO, 5 priorities of payment, and your consistency of training. This 3 is more than enough to survive.
So thank you for sharing all that. I'm sure if someone goes through the video, he'll have a lot of takeaways. Your voice is a practical voice who have demonstrated what it means to work from the bottom, go to the top, understand the nuances, understand the difficulties, create trust, create goodwill, create reserves, then invest in training. Be careful about customers who are perhaps deliberately trying to not pay you and so on. So these are all very good inputs, very solid inputs, which I'm sure will be well received by anybody who starts the business. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for all that you have given in the form of sharing your knowledge. That itself is a very big thing. Thank you for your time, John.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm stopping the recording. Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.